What's going on, everybody? I told you guys we were going to do a second anime. I didn't specify what that anime was, and we're going to be going and doing Summertime Render. We just got done looking at the first episode. None of us had any preconceived notions of what it was about. None of us have read any of the manga, and this is technically Lucas's second anime series ever. And me and Matt, we dive into anime all the time, but we're gonna be you guys as hosts, and we're gonna break down all the things about this episode. We're gonna be pretty quick to the point because it is late at night. I'm gonna say this: I was a little bit like taken out after the end of the episode because I had to kind of collect myself. Not that it was necessarily jarring; it's just a lot of moving parts going on in this episode. The main character, he's just on a boat randomly, and he has this dream of his childhood friend that we find out moments after he wakes up in somebody's bosom that is dead. And he's going back home for that funeral. But when he goes back home to the funeral, you can start to see there's a lot of things going on about how she died, what else is happening, and it seems as though there's some lying going around. And I'm just curious y'all's perspective off rip. What was y'all's impression of this first episode? Because I could pinpoint certain things, but I'm more intrigued by what stood out for you guys in watching this episode.
On a technical level or just anything?
I mean, you can go on technical level because one of the things with this episode or this show is that there's a lot of interesting camera angles, a lot of things paying attention to detail, characters, verbiage, and close up to their subtle like looks, and so I mean, you can go whatever you want to. I'm more curious y'all's perspective on it.
I mean, full package wise, visually, I'm already hooked because the standard has changed with a lot of animes now, especially when you have studios like Mappa and Ufotable and all these bigger studios making amazing animation. There's no excuse now, especially when you have the time to dedicate to making really good anime. And visually, I mean, it was a little kind of choppy on my end. I think that just might be my internet, but even with that, it looked really nice. The line work was crisp, the colors popped, everything visually looked amazing to me. I was like, okay, we're about to get into a nice, we're gonna transfer into a nice kind of like island vibe. We got a nice cool thing going on, and then you got all depressing like 10 minutes in. But technically, on a technical level, I was really intrigued with it. Like everything looked really nice. But I mean, like you mentioned the camera angles. There was certain spoilers, right? Yeah, spoilers.
That's full spoilers.
When they start, first thing I noticed was his eyes. I noticed that his eyes were different, and I'm like, okay, is this like maybe a coloring issue? Maybe did they not render or something properly? But then it kept showing up in more frames, and I'm like, no, this is intentional. There's something behind this dude's eyes. I don't know. I forgot the condition that David Bowie had with the two eyes. I wonder if it was something like that. I don't know. But all the camera angles, the way everyone was speaking to each other, and this girl Mio, especially her, she was the weirdest one from the beginning, acting really sus, sus. The guy's friends, oh yeah, I was with her. I was supposed to watch her. He was sus too. They making the curry, and then when they transported to outside, and she was just looking up at the window, and then the police guy passes by, and I'm like, that's not the same chick.
Right.
Something weird is going on here. And the first thing that came in my mind was like, is she a clone? Like, what's going on? I'm like, but I don't know where the show is going, because I'm like, this could be slice of life. This could be, drama. This could be murder mystery. I got no idea.
Like her in the future. We have no idea.
I don't know. Maybe it was a flashback. I don't know. Maybe it was after dinner. Who knows?
Right.
So, I mean, I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. You asked what we liked, but those are the things that just kind of, because it was a slow burn. It was a little bit of a slower paced episode, and I like that for the storytelling aspect of it, because they're really telling us that this is going to be a slow burn anime, and they're going to hit you with a lot of red herrings, and there's going to be also a lot of like whammy moments, especially like that ending where it's going to be like, okay, what the freak just happened? So I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll get to it, but that's just kind of the things that stood out to me, little bits and things I can think of right now.
Yeah. Lucas, for you, I mean, again, this is your second anime series, so it's kind of like all of this is a lot. But what stood out for you in this series so far, first episode?
Did it built up like a dramatic thriller?
Right.
I'm trying to think a weird one that came into mind, especially with the ending, was Frequency.
Interesting.
It's clearly playing with the angle of not informing you exactly what's going on while still giving you a list of suspects,
right,
of what possibly could be the reason and the way that his friend died in this story.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like that setup because that's a really good setup to do, and to be able to introduce all of these characters and make all of them look guilty at the same time is a talent to pull off. Because here, the key of the story, at least in this first episode, is just to keep you on your toes by not truly informing you everything that happens. I love the point that we get the quick transition from the train to her funeral.
Right.
Because at that point, you still don't know fully what's going on here. And then you get a meet up with his friend. He's like, well, I tried to save her and I should have saved her. But then the whole time they made a big deal about her having the autopsy. Will make no sense if it's actual accidental drowning.
Right.
To even do anything of that nature. And then you transition from that to him telling them, well, they found marks around her neck. How did they find marks around her neck if she supposedly drowned to save this family? And then magically this family disappeared. Again, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's just the way everything was set up to inform you that what you thought you were coming into is not what you're going to get. You're going to get a completely different story here. And I think this first episode possibly just lays out the breadcrumbs for you to follow it, and you may not fully understand what these breadcrumbs is until around episode 4 and 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think what threw me off, and I think Matt had a reaction thing when I did, was the intro. The intro is just so beautiful score, beautiful music. I was like, what kind of show is this? You know? And then all of a sudden, the main character has a gun,
that in there,
points the gun out, and points the gun to himself and pulls. And I was like, what? And it's the same exact eye that is hewed out. And so my immediate perception, for whatever reason, based on his eyes being different orientation, I was like, maybe he is involved and he just doesn't know. Because I was kind of like, even with now you're introducing and saying like there's doppelgangers in this, people are definitely lying and suspicion all over the place. But it's kind of like, why did he leave? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it that when he's coming back, like, yes, he's surprised, he's ambushed by a lot of this, but he's also holding himself back a lot. Like, he's holding in. The whole entire episode, he was trying to hold in. And then the moment that he should have reacted, I mean, effectively, it looked like he got shot in the head as far as we know, but it looked like more so he got shot in the eye. It's just fascinating to me. There's so many details about, you know, I think his name is Shinra.
Shin.
I guess they call him Shin for short.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
That honestly, if he was a suspect, I would believe it, because there's so many unknowns about him as to why he left and what's going on, because there's a lot that he doesn't even know. But I do love that all the different characters, like Neo, the dad that they kind of living with, everybody's kind of just like, everything's fine, but like, no, there's a funeral going on, and all of them are holding in their emotions. So you can't tell how much of it is people holding in their emotions because they're grieving, or holding in their emotions because they know something. And I love that aspect about it. Like, it feels like a legit thriller. And it's not I'm trying to think of another anime that kind of did this. And it's not that many.
I got a comparison, but I know we were going to get to it. I got a couple comparisons, actually.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the only other one that I can think of that's similar in tone is The Promised Neverland. I don't know if you've seen that, Sam.
I have.
But Promised Neverland, at least season 1, had a very similar tone where there's something weird going on. There's a
Right.
lot of people involved in this thing that you have no idea the importance or significance of why they're here,
Right.
what's happening. There's so many hands involved in this, and as each episode starts to, go on, each episode goes on, things start to unravel
Right.
more and more, and the plot thickens more and more. So I can definitely see this taking a certain approach, because one of the questions I had watching this is the blonde girl. I didn't catch her. I didn't remember her name. Why is she so important? Why is her death?
Ushio.
Ushio.
Ushio. Yeah.
Ushio. Yeah. Why was her death so important? Why is she important? Why is everyone so quiet and hushy when it comes to her death? Because you think about it. Yes, you understand people are so important to a community, and if someone dies, it's going to be sad and whatnot. But why is she important? So there's got to be something special about her, or the dynamic that you mentioned with Shin. And because she said something in the beginning, like "come find me" or something like that, where
don't forget me,
or don't forget me, or something like that. Yeah. So that's the biggest question, I think. And the last thing I'll say is, concerning this, is for comparison's sake, a live action movie I think this might be taking some similarities to is Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise.
Actually, that is the closest one.
Yeah, he dies, comes back, has to really, or a Groundhog Day kind of situation.
That's because
die, come back again, do it all over again. Yeah. So obviously, this is probably not the first time he got glocked in the head.
Yeah, because this it's either a Groundhog Day situation, or because Edge of Tomorrow is tricky. While it seems like a Groundhog Day situation, it's also a time loop situation.
Yeah,
because he's constantly going into different time loops as he's trying to figure things out here. So this could be a situation where he gets the message at the beginning, and the message is don't forget, and you're going to keep on going through everything until you figure out the next plot point. What happens next?
What happens next?
What happens
next? Checkpoint,
basically. Which is again, we've had a lot of thrillers that have done that same exact thing. Again, Edge of Tomorrow.
And can I add to what you just said? I didn't mean to cut your flow, but that just got me thinking too. You brought up something real nice. What if that where he got glocked? What if that was the furthest he's made it so far? So far.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Like journey. So maybe that's the closest he's gotten to figuring out things. But anyway, yeah,
that's what it seems like. And this first episode gives you his furthest point that he's getting to, and then he's going right back to the beginning again. The key part is going to be by the second episode: is he going to remember everything that happened?
That's a great question.
Because if he remembers everything that happens, then he will. Or I wonder.
Yeah.
So on this, it brought up a very interesting thing between him and Milo, the sister.
Yep.
When the guy said something about a ghost, and you seen the ghost, and the ghost being right in front of your face, and you're wondering why, but you see the way they show the ghost is the way it's like of a memory disappearing. So what happens if that is actually the ghost is a memory disappearing, and that's how you remember things as you move forward with the story?
Can I add to that too, though? My wife and I, we were watching another horror movie, and we just remember we were watching Train to Busan actually for the first time yesterday. Always trust the village old man. Always trust either the village old man or the village homeless person. Because and even in Friday the 13th, in the first movie, the dude on the bike, ain't nobody want to believe him. When the guy is an ex-Marine, he's hunting, got the big beard. That beard means something. Listen to that guy. He's out here saying, "Oh, the shadows, don't trust them." Like
exactly
to that guy.
That was the key words that drew me in, is the shadows.
The shadow parasite, like the shadow, or something like that.
And so, in other words, it bringing in my horror movie thriller mindset, it tells me there's something going on with the island that they're on. Because one, I think it's not a coincidence they tell you this is an island with 700 people. That means it's a very small, secluded island. So maybe the island is playing a part of this time loop. Maybe the shadows are renderings of summertime rendering. Motherfucker. The shadows of rendering of other past memories and other past people who have happened. And then when you go into a time loop situation, those renderings are what help you remember exactly what's going on. Maybe those renderings are the old people attempting to reach back out and informing you of situations that you present yourself into. That would be interesting.
Let him use you, Bishop. That's crazy.
Oh man. See, I feel like if I continued this, we just go down a deeper and deeper rabbit hole.
Inception type conversation, huh?
And I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna say that for me, this was a really good opening episode because it threw me off. It threw me off because it hit different plot points that I love. Like it had great animation, it had great camera angles. It's definitely a thriller. It's enough, like Lucas said, enough breadcrumbs that I'm like intrigued to see who is what. And even deeper than that, like the next time around, who's to say the scenario is going to be exactly the same? It may not roll the same exact way. From the point that he ends up in her chest, things may shift a little bit to throw him off. There's an anime that I watched. There's two different animes that I watched that I think I'd recommend to either one of you guys. Tokyo Revengers.
Yeah.
And ReZero.
Yes.
Tokyo Revengers, the thing about that is the main character, you know, he's a grown man, well, like he's like 26 or 25.
Like 25.
And he just goes to the train tracks and somebody pushes him into a train, literally kills him effectively. He goes back 12 years as a kid and he's like stuck in his body when he's 12 years younger. And he tells somebody like, you know what, like, please look out for me. Something's going to happen. And sure enough, like he survives, but that person retains the memories and he's able to go back and forth between 12 years, which is such a fascinating imagery. But then ReZero, the baseline of that is more so reminiscent of this show because it's very dark. And every single time the main person, it's like it's a game, really, but it's really not because every single time he dies, he feels it all. Like he feels every single time and he's trying to progress, but it's kind of like checkpoints. Like he can get to a certain point, but then that's it. And each time he dies, a part of him just completely just loses, like emotionally. So it's very fascinating. But no, it's drew me into the point I need to see the next episode. I'm intrigued.
Quick question. Going back to the beginning. At the beginning of it, when you see him talking to his friend on the boat, before
the girl that died,
transition and realize that that's not his friend, and then he falls into the boobies.
Right.
Her last words is "save Milo." If she's worrying about saving Milo, what is he saving Milo from? Is it from the island,
or is it from the doppelganger?
From herself.
That's crazy.
Or is it from herself? Or maybe because then Milo brings up that we saw her shadow and it disappeared in front of our eyes. Was that a warning? And because she didn't understand the warning, she didn't understand how to respond to it. And maybe Milo is the person with this ability to forge all this stuff. Wow.
And then there's the person, we got to get a name so we can stop calling her booby person. But the booby person at the end.
When she says she.
Yeah, she says she.
She said, I messed up.
I messed up. And then she says she. Who's the she in question? Is it Milo or is it Sam, what's the blonde girl's name? I'm gonna get it.
Ushio.
Ushio. Do we have a name for booby girl? Because
no, she never got a name because you know when all she did was slap him. And then the next time we saw her again, like she was sitting there bleeding to death.
Well, actually, no. The next time we saw her, she was in an alleyway. She was on the phone with somebody.
Oh, she was talking on the phone.
And then she was like, "Oh, send them in" or something like that. So she has a direct involvement in all of this.
She definitely does.
A briefcase, and she was like, "Send them in," or "It's ready." Something along those lines. I don't know the exact quote she said, but she was on the phone and they specifically had a shot of her in the foreground.
Wait. So what if, and this is just theory, what if there is only one creature or whatever that is actively, I think that's what the old man said the shadow does, is that it finds the person it's about to kill and it becomes them, kills the person, and then the next person is going to be the person that it becomes after that point. So maybe it's one entity that's going around and slowly just killing people. Because I mean, I think that's what she said, that they saw the doppelganger for Ushio right above them, but she didn't do anything about it. So that's most likely how she died. But it's weird though, because you had said it, Matt. Like it looked like, you know, the episode was kind of weird and distorted, but really it was distortion because he was having that dream, and then that's when it phased out. It doesn't add up as to why he's having an active component to interacting with whatever that is. It still doesn't add up, because I was like, okay, if it's one being that's doing this,
unless it's his relationship with Milo, and that's why she said save Milo, because Milo has already had her interaction with whatever this thing is that's on this island. And
yes,
clearly
true.
the thing,
She saw it.
and the weird part is
about it too.
Yes, and she saw it. What, 3 times? She saw it the first time. She said with I'm not going to say her name right. Ushio.
Yeah.
The second time was out front of the apartment. She was just staring up, and the cop said, "What's wrong with you? Were you in a fight? What's going on here?" And she was just stuck and frozen, and she couldn't move. But then she did that same "I'm stuck and frozen" thing again.
You're right, because we assumed that the person on the outside was the doppelganger, not was that.
Yeah.
What if she has a direct connection to it too, though?
There you go. That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe she's experiencing all the murders in her head.
That's what I'm thinking, is that the connection is with Milo. And that's why she said save Milo, because that's the connection. She's the answer to the problem.
Milo is the important one here.
Yes.
Red herring right there, because we're looking at Ushio, and we can see this. Maybe Milo is very aware of this situation all the time. Maybe she can't say nothing. Maybe she's forbidden. Maybe she just physically can't say anything. In other words,
he's in the time loop mourning his friend, but the whole goal of him being in this time loop, which can possibly be put in it by his friend, possibly put him in this time loop, was to save Milo the entire time.
And now I got a theory now too to add to that. You see my man's in the back left? The cop? We can't just ignore that cop.
No,
he was out here making sus.
He's sus. I don't know what he got going on, but
what if though? Right? Hear me out. You know the conversation don't start good when somebody say "hear me out." So, hear me out though.
Oh Lord.
What if, right? He's maybe it's another red herring situation where we're those situations where they try to make you think that this person is the one, like you watch like Knives Out or Murder and Orient Express, or most whodunits, like even Scream, most whodunit type stuff, you would see that, right? What if this guy was able to slip under the radar and realize that Milo was the problem, and maybe he's trying to find a way how he can stop her, because you see when he comes in and he says, "Oh, the people, they left, they did this, and then she ran away," and he got mad. Maybe he was trying to keep her there. Maybe a plan he had didn't work. Maybe he's actually really low key the hero of the story. We don't even know this. Maybe he's just a guy that's like, he's seeing all this, but he's staying quiet to save his own behind.
Yeah, there's definitely a screen grab that I want.
Or where was he at in the morning? When Milo said, "You normally come here to eat breakfast."
Yep.
Where were you at?
Where was he at?
So do you think? Because remember, he had that interaction with we don't know if that was a doppelganger or if it was Milo, but that was the last time he was actively seen. And then she looked at him, right? But we don't know what happened from that point to when we next see him later. We just know that when he had that conversation with him, and then she ran out, he gave this look, and this look is so suspicious to me. And I was kind of like, is he a doppelganger? Like, has he been switched off? Like, is the real cop already died?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what remains? Because we don't know the rules of the game. Like, we don't know if when somebody dies, what remains is this active shell. But it's intriguing. It's intriguing. We're not going to go down this road because we have gone.
I mean, also, yeah, because you can also go down the road that Shin is returning to this island at this point in time. So he has the slightest idea what's going on with this island. I mean, if they're all dead, besides Milo.
You know what? On that note, okay, Lucas, and Matt, was this first episode enough for you guys to want to see more? I mean, of course, we're gonna be reviewing more, but I'm saying from y'all's looking at it in perspective.
Yeah. I mean,
we literally just gave you 85 theories.
Come on now. I love a good show or movie. This is one of the things that I loved about like Get Out. When I first saw Get Out, the more I watched it, the more I had something new from it. Yep. It was always a discussion. It was always a conversation with the man. That everything was just going back and forth. So yeah, man, I love a good thriller that can have me theorizing and trying to come up with cool ideas, and it's the best. It's great because especially when you have like like-minded folks that are equally, as talented with coming up with great theories, it makes it fun. It makes it really fun. So I'm already in love with the show for the fact that conversation alone about it makes it an enjoyable experience, but also storytelling wise, it seems to be like this, it could be some serious stuff. Like it can be a heavy hitter going forward. So yeah, I'm excited, man. Over-explained it, but I'm excited.
There you go.
What about you, Lucas?
Oh, same. I mean, I need to see where this goes. One, I thought that was a crab in her hand. It's clearly a flower at this point. I don't know why I thought a crab. But then I should have known because that flowers tend to most times represent either passing or tragedy. It's one of the two. You never want to see a movie poster, a DVD cover of someone holding a flower. That's normally a sign that something horrible is about to happen to that person. So I should have picked up on it there. But again, I'm more interested to find out, why do you need to save the cheerleader? I mean, Milo. And what happens? What happens if he doesn't? And then this time loop that he's clearly in. The end of this episode was great that they reversed and put you in that time loop to let you understand, like, okay, so it's telling me he's meant to save her, because that's the only reason you could get in a time loop is if you're meant to do something. But is he meant to save her or just meant to find out the truth? Like it's a lot of questions there that I need answered.
I got another theory, not you saying that now. You see, I gotta be careful about this.
Hold on. So before you go there, and I know you should know this, Matt, and it's the same exact flower she's holding. What other anime had the same exact flower?
Demon Slayer.
Nope.
Not Demon Slayer? Was it Jujutsu Kaisen?
Nope.
Which other one, man?
Tokyo Ghoul.
Tokyo Ghoul.
When my main character had the transformation from the person that he was to the person he became, which without spoiling too much. Like, that is the most pivotal moment. But I didn't put two and two together because I was like, I could barely see that there.
I could swear that Demon Slayer had a flower like that, though, didn't they?
They do.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that this picture right here is straight from Tokyo. That is the moment that your main character had his turn, so to speak. So anyway,
so the thing it's quick, it's brief, but what about when Milo was hugging Shin in that room? She was crying. I don't think those tears were for Yushiro. Those tears might have been for her. It could have been a cry for help. She could have been like,
she was glad to see him.
She's glad to see you, like, help me. Like, I don't know what's happening here. We've done this like 8 times. Help me, please.
What was she talking about? Because he had asked her a question about the murder. Oh, that's why she had remembered. She was about to spill the beans about what happened,
and she knew she was strangled.
But she was trying to be careful, not because he had never said anything to anybody, and that's probably what kept her alive. Honestly,
it's because she doesn't exactly know what he is yet or who he is yet, so she doesn't know if she can. Point. She doesn't know if she can trust him yet. Maybe that's what that is at that moment. She doesn't know if she can trust him because I don't know what you are. And maybe then that tells you just to pull over everything may not be just one entity, but the island may be the entity.
And maybe she wants to trust him. Maybe she wants somebody to trust.
Because she needs somebody to trust to get herself out of this situation.
She needs help.
I think she actually has legit feelings for this man. Like the way, and this is the thing with anime. Too, with anime, they always have like a level of blush and eye squint whenever this is a thing.
Lucas watched the anime?
Oh my god. and we're gonna go on that note. Lucas, Matt, where can we find your information? On TeamJVS, Lucas, thank you for this experience, the first anime series, and we'll be back, I guess, next week for more. Bye, guys.
Filing out the top of
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing.